Hi, thank you for watching this video. And if you are, you know, already using Flickr and you would like to know how to go about it, and you're watching this video to understand more how to go about it, thank you for choosing Flickr as well. Now, it came to my attention that, even though I have a product, but not many people may possess the foundations, to how to use an EA for the matter in this case. So I thought of, to just, I hope in the course of the next few days or even next few weeks, I'll be able to spend more time to make videos like this, hopefully to help starters, to get started onto how to use an expert advisor. Okay, now in this picture is actually a table of comparison of the Flickr product line. Okay, there are 4 different kinds of products and they are all different from one to another. Okay, so you can differentiate them according to 4 main categories. Okay, you'll be looking at entry, risk management, indicators, and visuals. Okay, in the first one we'll start with basic, then we move on to advanced, professional, and ultimate. Okay, now each tier introduces a different set of features which makes them more unique or more special or an improved version from the one before. So but in this video we're going to focus on just Flickr basic, and I hope that later on we'll be able to do another video on advanced, professional, ultimate, so that we can maybe touch on a few of the new features that are being introduced, and you'll be able to know, like, in what scenarios you can use them, or what was I thinking, when I had these features included in the particular version of Flickr. So yeah, jumping straight into Flickr basic. Okay, now each Flickr focuses on a different set of features, okay, which I would call them as highlights. Okay, for Flickr basic, the highlights will be this: scaling, recovery, trend, trading. Okay, so scaling, the account, your risk management as well. Recovery, recover losing positions quickly using different movement patterns. Okay, which I believe you do not normally see this available in any other EAs in the market. Okay, but ultimately what I want to focus on would be trend trading. Okay, now before we move on further, okay, uh, if you look at each Flickr product page, other than the support group, okay, one on Telegram, the other one on Discord, I also make it a point to include a handbook as well. Okay, so that it would give you, I realize that not many developers, they actually spend time on to doing documentation for the products, which I feel is not very good, because people may not understand or get the answers that they want, and then sometimes you have a support group, and then without the handbook, questions get that are being asked on maybe a Telegram or Discord group may not maybe be just ignored or not answered, and user is left wondering how to go about it, that kind of thing. So just like the EA that I was using before, there wasn't a proper kind of documentation, so you kind of like got to try error different settings, what does this parameter or this field do for that matter, and what makes the product so special, what's the uh, what 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 makes it, how should I put it, what are the highlights, or what's the focus of it, and how should one use it for the matter. Okay, so before I move on further, I'd like to draw attention to, if you click on the Flickr handbook, you'll be you will download the handbook, of course, and in the handbook it look like this. Okay, so you have the introduction, but I'd like you to jump straight to the disclaimer part of it. Okay, I'd like to just draw us all to the same page, because if we don't get this right, I believe that EAs are not for you. Because if you were to come with a viewpoint of the mindset that buying an EA from the market will surely generate you money because of all the charts that the developer is bombarding at you, 5 years of test, 10 years of test, 2 years of test for the matter, and it's generating so much of product, and you are buying it with that kind of mindset. I would like to tell you that your approach is wrong, because um, an EA should be clearly viewed merely as a tool. It's something that you can use, and how it functions, how effective it is entirely up to the user. A very close example would be a car. Okay, so a car is a tool. It's supposed to get you to different places, but how one drives it is a whole different thing altogether, or how one handles the car, whether the car was being taken care well of, or whether that person drives or drove the car recklessly for the matter. So it is entirely up to user at the end of the day. So I would like you to just spend a few moment with me to just run through the disclaimer, okay, so that we are on the same page before we go any further. If you do not agree with me on this, then Flickr or any EAs for that matter, it is not for you. Then you'll be better off trading manually by yourself. Okay, don't even need to think about EAs. Okay, now disclaimer: Flickr and all products bearing its name should be clearly viewed merely as a tool that one could use to automate trading. Bearing this in mind, how well or effective this tool works is totally dependent on users' input and or customization. It is highly and strongly recommended that you as a user will first familiarize yourself with the respective Flickr product. Like I said earlier, each Flickr product is special, unique, different from the other one that's in the product line for that matter. Okay, so by first thoroughly going through the handbook that's being provided, testing out the input set for the various parameters on a demo or trial account. Now I noticed that this is a very grave mistake that many traders are making or have been making, that they just buy the EA and then they slap on a set file and then they let it run on a live account, not knowing on, without having the prior knowledge on how the EA should work, or will function for that matter. So I believe that we shouldn't be so reckless or so blind, because with all the info that's being given to you, that they are being provided, you should take the extra step to understand it before you use a particular product. Okay, so before using Flickr on a live account, so to experience and understand how each parameter set corresponds with one another in order for Flickr to function as it was set by the user you. As for expansion products, okay, now therefore, okay, ending with this, the outcome of one's trading experience in both good and bad solely a pure and direct reflection of one's understanding and the ability to customize and exhaust the vast features that Flickr has to offer. Okay, so I want you to understand this crystal clear, that no matter what happens by using Flickr or any EAs for that matter, the responsibility, it is in your hands. Okay, because Flickr or any EA in the market is just merely a tool. It comes with a set of features. Okay, it can be rich in features, it can be just a certain set of features. No matter what it is, a tool will only do what you use it to do. Just like a car will only get you the place if you were to drive it there. Okay, that kind of thing. Okay, so yeah, with that out of the way, and if you are new to forex trading, I will also encourage you to take up this free course from babypips.com. Okay, so start learning. Okay, it's free. Okay, click on this and then to give you a very general but detailed idea on what forex trading is all about, so that you will not start forex trading with a wrong mindset. Okay, so cause if you were to think that forex is will help you generate, you know, passive income, then forex will be the last place that you should look at. Okay, because if you were to look at any broker's website, they will say that, you know, 90 plus percent of people lose money trading. Okay, so that's the actual scenario. So if you're new to forex, get started with this and you'll be better off on a much more better foundation as you go into forex. Okay, now we have talked about the Flickr product line. Okay, we have talked about the disclaimer and then Babypips as well. Okay, next is when you use an EA. Okay, so let's say we go to the market. Okay, go to the market. Now there are just so many EAs for you to choose from. Okay, and you should know that each one of them, they work differently. They have a different strategy. They use a different kind of rule set to help them to make it work. Okay, for the matter. So you gotta understand what you're using, because if you don't understand what you're using, then let's put it this way: you can trade with something that you do not know. Okay, so you gotta understand what you're using and how it works in order for it to work in your favor. Okay, but as for Flickr, let's jump back to the product page. Flickr, it is a trend trading expert advisor. Okay, so what it says is this, that you can now choose to trade to the trend of a slower or faster moving average or any instrument on a different time frame. Okay, now I'm not sure if I heard this before, but if you've been in forex and using EAs, you hear a very common term, which is trend. Okay, so trend basically means, you know, where the market is moving to or headed towards to, whether it's going up or whether it's going down, whether it's bullish means going up or bearish, which means going down. Okay, now most expert advisors would need to use a trend to help it to trade. Okay, most of them. Okay, and in order for an expert advisor to trade according to trend, okay, they will need indicators. Okay, they will be using indicators, and it is very easy to understand this, and you can actually let me show you how. Okay, if you were to open your terminal, okay, normally what we will do is we just pull out the chart, we just load up the EA and, you know, punch in the parameters, the numbers, and just let it run. Okay, but your terminal, okay, MT4 for the matter, MetaTrader 4, comes with these as well. You see this? Indicators. Okay, now I'm going to show you this. Okay, now I normally trade gold, so I'm just pull out, you know, the gold charts, and then let's enlarge it. Okay, now normally when you pull out a chart, it's set to 1 hour. Okay, normally. Okay, now this is how gold has moved, and then let's look at, okay, now Flickr uses what? Moving average. Okay, now this is the most basic fundamental trend indicator that one can use. Okay, but then there are many values that you can choose to put in to understand or to draw or to get, you know, the trend. Okay, and I'll show you how. Okay, so back to your terminal, click on trend. You see moving average. Okay, now what I want you to do is you put it to your chart. Period. Okay, over how many candles will it decide on the trend? Okay, and then what method you use. Normally we use simple, but then there are people also who are using exponential as well. Now what period to use? It's a very good question. Now it all depends whether you want to trade long or whether you want to trade short, or how should I put it, whether do you want to hold your positions over a longer period of time, or whether you want to hold your positions just for a while scalping. Okay, so if now for the sake of demonstration, let's just agree to use 200 simple. Okay, and we just click OK. Now on the 1 hour chart, okay, this is the trend of gold. Okay, so this is going down, then going up, okay, and it goes back down, and then it goes back up. Okay, now this is a more, how should I put it, you use a longer time frame to get the overview trend. That means at the end of the day, it is still heading up, that kind of thing. But if you want instantaneously, then you should use a smaller period value, maybe like 50. Okay, 50, and then you look at it on a 15 minutes kind of chart. It will look different. Okay, now on a 1 hour, it look like this. But if you were to switch to 15 minutes, okay, it will show you this instead. Okay, so normally you draw the trend, you define the trend, and then the EA will trade according to it. Okay, as for Flickr, it is trading according to the moving average. Okay, now how does this red line help the EA or Flickr to trade? It's very easy. Any candle, okay, all these candles, any candles that are above the red line, okay, Flickr will open a buy position. But then there are also other things at play. Okay, but just basically anything is above, you open the buy. Anything below the red line, you open a sell. Okay, now this is just one part of it. Okay, now let us now pull out the EA. Okay, so Flickr basic, let's pull out onto the chart. Now you can define which time frame to draw the trend here. Time frame 1 hour, 200. Okay, simple close price. Okay, so we are trading on this. Now if you are using this, and if your inverse orders is set to false, like the default, okay, is set to false. So when the candle is above the red line, it will open a buy position. Okay, if it's below the red line, it will open a sell position. Okay, it's that simple. Okay, so once you know how to draw your trend, how to get your trend, it will be then easier to configure your EA. Okay, now of course you can use a faster period for the matter. So let's just say we're using 50. Okay, so 50 will look like this. You see how it sticks closer to the candles. Okay, and how it also follows how the candles are moving, that kind of thing. So you can use 50 if you're on the 15 minutes, but if you're using an hourly one, you want to see a general trend, okay, you can use 200 on H1. Okay, so that's really basic. Okay, now let's go back to the EA. Okay, so basic. Okay, now indicator or trend time frame, it is different from your chart time frame. Okay, so if you have it on M15, it will simply tell you that every stick here is worth 15 minutes. If you're on M30, every stick, every candle here, it is 30 minutes. Now, if you were to put or run your EA on an M30, interval, what it simply means is that every 30 minutes it will check the condition of a trend, and then it will open the position. Okay, so every 30 minutes you get one position. Simple as that. Okay, unless you have a more complicated system in place like Flickr Professional, then that's a different topic altogether. But in Flickr Basic, it's just as simple as that. Okay, so every 30 minutes you will check against the trend line, whether the candle or whether the price is above it or below it, then you open a corresponding position. So right now, this is where the price is at. So if you were to run Flickr Basic using the 50 moving average, okay, it will open a sell position because it's below the red line. Simple as that. Okay, so let's look at the parameters. It's not hard to understand the parameters, how they function. Okay, so basically this is how you keep track of your EA. Now some people may be running 2 EAs or one account, so having a magic number helps you to identify which EA is that. It's that simple, because that's how MetaTrader or your terminal is using to identify which EA opens which position, and how to track it, how to draw analysis of it, that kind of thing. Okay, so this is it. Okay, the name, okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, now trend, okay, we've run through this. So okay, so you set this, then only we look into the entry. Now, initial lot size, it is always recommended to start with 0.01. But then there are some people who are very ambitious, I would say. They will start with 0.1 for that matter. But then they might not have an idea whether the equity or the account balance they're starting with could accommodate that kind of progression. Okay, what do I mean here? Now, max orders, it means that in a certain session, how many orders can Flickr open altogether? A total of 15 buys and a total of 15 sells. That's what this means, okay, in a basket. So in one session, which people normally use as a basket, okay, so you open a maximum of 15 orders. Okay, now inverse orders, we have touched briefly just now. So if we look back at the chart, it should be a sell. Okay, but if we have this inverse set to true, instead of sell, we open the buy position. Okay, so that's what this means. Okay, now time frame filter. Time frame filter would be this, the M1, M5, M50, M30 for the matter. How frequent the EA opens a position. Now, I have made it an option here whereby would it ignore or would it follow? Okay, so please double check on this. It should be on follow if you're new to trading. Okay, because if this is set to ignore, it will not follow the chart time frame. You just keep on opening orders and you might just blow your account. Okay, now distance 200, this is in points. Okay, so that means let's see the price now. Okay, for the sake of this video, let's just take it as 200. Okay, what this means is that at every 200 points, Flickr will open a new position. So let's say now it's 1923. Okay, let's just use a round number. So 1923.00. Okay, so if it goes up, the next position that Flickr will open will be 1925.00, 200. Okay, and if it were to go down, the next position that Flickr would open will be at 1921.00. It's as simple. Now, you can only afford 15 orders. At a 200 distance, it means that every 200 you have one position, and then 15 times 200, it will just mean what will we get with that? You will get 3,000, which means $30 in price movement for gold. Okay, so it's that simple. And multiplier is, let's say you're starting with 0.01, the next position will be 1.5 times of 0.01. Okay, so every subsequent position that is being opened by flicker would be increased by 1.5. Max lot size, these you would need to set and define, because if you were to set it at 5 lot size on a small account, you know, small capital account, you would blow your account easily, because open a 5 lot size on Go, it is not easy. It is quite risky, and you need a lot of money to do that. Now, in order to help you to find out, what lot size to start with, what distance to play with, what's the max lot size you should set to, there's a tool that I've also, put the link in the YouTube description box down below. You must get this tool because it will help you to plan your risk much better. Okay, this tool is called the Martingale Calculator. It looks like this, okay, but I try not to cover up, the settings page, that kind of matter. Okay, so lot size you start with 0.01, just like this. Okay, and then distance in points, so 200, max of 5, and then multiply 1.5. XAUUSD is Go. Okay, now what you should look at is, as it opens a new position, remember what I said just now? As it opens another new position, it will be 1.5 times of the previous one. So from 1, you go to 2, 2, 3, 5 for that matter, okay? And then this is the number of distance you have traveled. Now, the important column that should jump out at you would be this DD, drawdown. What this column means that, let's say you open the position, but then what happened is that it didn't go in the market trend that you expect it to. It's going down south, you're losing money. Okay, what this column means is that you will have lost a total of $2, or you'll be owing, or the account is in a loss of $2 before the second position is being opened. Okay, now some of you, if you were to start with $100 account, you will probably only last until, don't think that you last until, because we have such thing as margin call. So maybe you only last up to position number 5, and then your margin call will come in, and if you don't do anything about it, like topping up money or that matter, your account will blow. Okay, now if you were to look at the lot size, it's only at 0.51. Now can you imagine that if you were to set it at 5.0, how bad it would be? So if it's 5.0, it will be here, that kind of thing. Your account will need to have 11,500. Well, this is the 400%, but if you take into account margin call, you will need easily 20 to 25,000 for it to hit a lot size of 5. Okay, so I would encourage you that, based depending on your account size, if you only like trading $100, okay, so this should be your target value. Just limit it 0.51, 0.5, okay, 0.05. So you just go here, you limit at 0.05, and that would do it. Okay, it would protect your account a little bit better, but please don't trade with $100, because if you're trading gold, $100, unless you're on a cent account, then it'll be a different story altogether. Okay, now the next thing we're going to talk about would be the kind of account that you're trading with. Okay, now most of the time people will ask you to go for a raw account. Okay, if you're using EA, you go for a raw account whereby you save money on spreads, okay, from your broker. Okay, so but then if you do not have a very big capital to trade with, let's say you are only going to invest $100, talking of which, do not trade with what you do not have. Do not borrow money from your friends, from your mother, from your siblings, from whoever. If you are not having that kind of capital in your hands to trade with, don't trade at all, because one thing that you should also be prepared is that be ready to lose that amount of money. Don't expect to get it back. Yeah, it's as harsh as it sounds, but yeah, it's quite true, because like what those broker websites, they say 90% of people, they lose their money. Okay, so expect to lose money, but then yeah, there are also uh, different types of account that you can use to some sort like increase your capital. Okay, uh, now you have raw account, you have standard, you have pro, and so on and so forth. Now if your capital is small, you can always opt to trade on a cent account. Now I'll post links in the YouTube description box down below. Do check it out. Okay, so what a cent account does is that if you have $100, it will give you 100 times more in so-called credit to trade with. Okay, so instead of just trading with $100, you get to trade with 10,000 US cents. Okay, so yeah, you have a slightly bigger capital to play with, but then of course the profits would have to be divided by 100 as well, so you get your final profit figure that for that matter. So yeah, do check it out. Okay, now once you have come up with settings, okay, talking about settings are included with all the flickers. Okay, whether it's flicker basic, flicker advanced, flicker professional, or ultimate, or signature, or harmony, or whatever. Do not treat the defaults as default values. That means that you download the EA already, you gotten it, you just load it up, attach to the chart, and press OK, and it's good to go. No. Okay, those are not the defaults. Those are just merely numbers for illustration purposes. Okay, for the matter. So find your own settings, punch in the numbers, play with different strategies, and see how the EA works. And then once you have gotten a setting that satisfies you, and the risk management using the Martingale Calculator, okay, don't go on live yet. Backtest it, put it on a demo account, run it on trial, so that you can see its performance when the market moves in a certain direction. Okay, and you'll be prepared, or you at least you have an idea on how the settings would work in certain market conditions. Okay, and yeah, talking of which, we are also encouraging people to contribute to the community by sharing set files. Okay, now I notice a norm in this is that when someone shares a set file, there will be users who just grab these set files and just use them as it is. They won't even bother to backtest it, to try it, to validate whether the performances are true. Sometimes backtesting can be just Photoshop, because it's a picture, that kind of thing. You can just cut and paste information from different sources and merge it into one, and then be presented on the product page. I believe it is your responsibility to verify whether those results are real. Okay, use the same test bed, run the set file through, and then see whether it is really what it claims to be. Okay, so set files are not there to make you lazy, but set files are there to help you to be convinced that the EA Flickr has features to make it work, and you yourself as a user should put in the extra effort to understand how the EA works in the first place. Okay, so yeah, I guess that's it. Oh yeah, we talk about percentage, right? You can look at percentage here. Okay, so take profit, you can have percentage of account size, so you scale as it goes on. Okay, so you can put in a decimal value here, and then you trade accordingly. Okay, so it's not very complicated for Flickr Basic, and I hope that after watching this video, it will help you understand better how to use it to trade according to trend, okay, and not against the trend and hoping for a reversal. And if the market doesn't reverse, then you're all done for, that kind of thing. Okay, so yeah, happy trading. And if you like this video, head on, give it a thumbs up. And if you like my work, and please support me by using affiliate links that are posted in the YouTube description box down below. So yeah, see ya.